It's impeachment week. The Democrats have dropped a 658-page impeachment report. Oh, by the way, now they say that there were crimes committed. I guess the focus groups came back with that one. Comey's disastrous interview on Fox News. Slandering our cadets over the circle game. A Democrat congressman has switched parties. Is the word supremacy canceled? And taxi drivers need to figure out preferred pronouns. Coming up on the Buck Sexton Show. Welcome to the Buck Sexton Show, everybody. Happy Monday. Man, it's the week before Christmas, right? Or is it pretty much? It's the week before the week of Christmas. Whatever. Never forget when I was filling in on Rush Limbaugh's show and I said, Happy New Year's Eve, everybody, and it was New Year's Day Eve. That was not correct, but people were cool with it anyway. Very supportive audience. We have a lot to get to today, my friends. There's so much that is getting packed into this final week here. But first, we have a little golf clap, everybody. Producer Mark has decided to come back to work. He has not, in fact, become a timeshare salesman. He is not going to stay forever in the Caribbean drinking his Mai Tais, his grasshoppers, and White Russians.
It was a tough decision to come back, but, you know, I'm here.
It's all right. He did look like he got a little sun. Not too much, though.
No, not too much.
I'm glad you...
Mrs. Producer Mark has a lot more.
Yeah. Glad you protected your skin. It's important for the long run. All right. We got much to get to. I want to just start with the impeachment situation because it's going to happen on Wednesday. The President of the United States is going to get impeached. And that's why you have this report out today that is put together by Nadler's Judiciary Committee. I mean, this is just written by a bunch of Democrat staffers. There's really nothing new. In fact, I believe it was Byron York who over the weekend tweeted out something about how they reached a point in this whole impeachment proceeding where the standard became just repeat. Just repeat whatever you've been saying in the past as many times as you can to the point where it seems like an obsession. And I don't think that that's just a side effect of running out of compelling arguments for Democrats. I do think that the obsessive nature of Democrats when it comes to Trump has been shown specifically through the way that they've approached this impeachment process. They're crazy is really the short version of it. I mean, Trump has broken them. Trump has emotionally shattered the left, including many left-wing politicians who think of themselves as so wise and wonderful. And so on Wednesday, they're going to have their opportunity to cast votes in favor of impeaching the President of the United States. Then this will go on to the Senate. We'll have a Senate trial after the holiday. And this week, there'll be a lot of back and forth over different aspects of this. I want to start with one that I think is central and has been a frustration of mine. And those of you who listen to the show know that this has been a line that I've been trying to push and promote. You know, I'm trying to get the president to retweet this. I mean, I would like there be broader adoption of my analysis on this because I'm correct, which tends to be the case on this show, despite what producer Mark sometimes says. I tend to be correct, meaning I'm almost always right. And almost, though. A lot of other hosts will tell you always, but they're full of it. But on this issue, and this is, of course, serious because it's a central charge. It is the central charge of the entire impeachment fiasco, and it has to do with whether or not there was an improper request in the first place, whether this request was some not even violation of law, a violation of expectations that we should have from the President of the United States. Lindsey Graham, my man Lindsey, still owes me an interview, by the way, Lindsey. Haven't forgotten the promise you made when I saw you in the hallway at Fox and you told me you loved the show. So we got to, producer Mark, we got to reach out to Senator Graham on this one. He said, and I got his guy, I'll give you his number. He said, Buck, I will come on your show. And I said, yes, sir, you will. And that was like 8 months ago. So we got to make that happen. It'd be kind of fun to have him on. But here is what he said. We can have Lindsey appear even though he's not technically here in studio. Here is Lindsey himself, play 14.
Well, is it okay, ever okay, for an American president to ask a foreign leader to investigate a political rival?
I think being a political rival is not you can't ever be asked questions. Now, Joe Biden is a dear friend. I've traveled all over the world with Joe Biden. He's running for president on the Democratic side. I think he'll do very well. The bottom line is his son was receiving $50,000 a month from a gas company run by the most corrupt guy in the Ukraine. And about 2 months after they raided the gas company's president's home, they fired the prosecutor. Yeah, I think it's okay to talk about this kind of stuff.
It's okay to talk about this kind of stuff. It's okay for the president to talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, Lindsey could have been a little bit more clear on this because he's asked, is it ever okay for an American president to investigate a political rival? And he goes, it's okay to talk about this stuff. What he should have said, or what he was getting close to saying, is what I have been telling you all along. There is no special immunity for a request that happens to possibly be problematic for a Democrat presidential candidate. There's no special zone of immunity that one goes through here. And that has always been the assumption all along. This is how you get to think of also the way that the talking point, which remember, this is the central push of the impeachment proceeding, is the quid pro quo. The quid pro quo over what? Over asking for dirt on a political rival. That's what they keep saying. But that's not what happened. You can try to claim that there's an interpretation of what was said where that could be the outcome, but that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. Would you do me a favor, ... close the door on your way out is different from would you do me a favor, I need a bag with $1 million in it, right? Not all things are created equal in this realm. Technically, it's a favor to close the door on the way out, but I don't think anybody would have an issue with it. Technically, the President of the United States, or actually just in form and substance overall, the President of the United States can ask a foreign counterpart for answers about an area of investigation that, let's also remember, we've gone through 3 years now of them saying that the Trump campaign, the left, the Democrats, the media, saying that the Trump campaign was right to be investigated on not just the flimsiest pretext, but the falsest pretext. It's a lie. It's a lie. But they've been saying that that's fine. They've been saying that's no problem. But Hunter Biden getting $50,000 a month from the most corrupt company run by the most corrupt guy in Ukraine, no one can ask any questions. While his dad is the point man on foreign policy in that country and firing prosecutors who are looking into corruption. I mean, this isn't some stretch, folks. This isn't some, come up with something out of nothing. Of course there should be an investigation of this. Normal people, if they were being told the truth about this, would say it's disgusting what's going on here. It's appalling. Hunter Biden getting $50,000 a month when he's not engaged in illicit extracurricular activities with, I think, exotic dancers in Mississippi or something, that now suing him for a paternity test. And this is after getting kicked out of the Navy Reserves for cocaine, testing positive for cocaine. I mean, the guy's a complete mess. But no, Hunter Biden would never show poor judgment on any of these things. Hunter Biden would never be somebody that would make a mistake in this regard. There's no problem with a Biden investigation. That should be the line. And here you have Jake Tapper he's really upset. Excuse me, sir. He's really upset when he's talking to Rand Paul here over exactly this issue. And this is also a very telling exchange. We'll begin this and I'll jump in the middle of it and then we'll continue to play clip 4, producer Mark.
Just to be clear, this precedent that you are prepared to set, you would be okay with a president, say Elizabeth Warren, asking a foreign government to investigate her top Republican rival as long as there was some sort of allegation about that Republican rival having some sort of connection to allegations of corruption.
Right.
That's going to be okay with you.
I think y'all misreport this. But I think y'all misreport
It's just a fact.
What you guys say every time is, well, it's not. I mean, what you said is completely untrue. The president didn't call up the president of Ukraine and say, no, let me finish. He didn't call up the president of Ukraine and say, investigate my rival.
He said investigate Joe Biden.
A certain person and a certain... Let me finish. Here's the thing is, you guys are not being honest with the facts here. He does not call up and say, investigate my rival. He says, investigate a person. So let's say I'm the Republican sheriff.
And Joe Biden is his rival.
And let me finish. Let me finish my sentence.
Joe Biden is his rival.
Thanks, Tapper. Notice. Oh, wait, no, but he's an objective journalist, right? I mean, he's jumping down Rand Paul's throat here every 2 seconds. Won't let him get a sentence out. Do you think would he ever do that to Nancy Pelosi? You ever see him do that to Nancy Pelosi? Chuck Schumer?
Excuse me, sir. It's a fact.
Ugh, the worst. But what Rand Paul is saying is correct. That's why Tapper's so upset, and Tapper's one of the chief propagandists at CNN, one of their most valuable ones in the sense that he has created when he's not talking about how much he loves the troops, because that's not virtue signaling a la Tapper. It's Tapper that's one of their primary, I'm a real journo people. It's total false. It's crap. He's part of the CNN apparatus that presents themselves as the objective truth tellers to an audience that craves that because they need that reinforcement of their political beliefs, that they're not political beliefs, that they're just facts. You know, apples and bananas, it's just truth. It's absurd. But he didn't call up. Trump did not call up and say, I want you to investigate my political rival. He said, I've heard stuff about this situation with Burisma. You know, there's other stuff going on here. There's 2016 CrowdStrike stuff being said. Let me know what you find out. Where's the violation? Where's the law that is broken here? Or even, what is the argument is that you cannot, what if Joe Biden and Hunter Biden did engage in some shady conduct over there? You can't investigate it because Joe Biden wants to run for president or is running for president? By the way, didn't Obama's FBI investigate the Republican presidential campaign in 2016? I know we're supposed to believe that Obama had nothing to do with any of that. Obama's hands were totally clean of that whole situation. No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I don't buy that Susan Rice had nothing to do with any of it, that Samantha Power had nothing to do with any of it, and certainly that Clapper, Comey, Brennan, McCabe, and all the rest. We know they had a lot to do with it. These were all people that were employees in the chain of command of President Barack Obama. So Barack Obama's FBI, which is what really happened. Remember, FBI that has to respond to the Attorney General. Attorney General like Loretta Lynch, we think that's an honest person, a fair-minded person? Of course not. A partisan. A hyper-partisan there to defend Obama and to destroy Republicans at any opportunity given. But, oh no, but you can't ask for a counterpart to tell you anything about a legitimate area of investigation. And nothing even happened, but that's superfluous. There's nothing wrong with the ask. I mean, I wish Trump had said it a little bit differently so that they couldn't then try to misinterpret it or twist it, but he's allowed to make the ask. Hey, do you have any updates on this? Our DOJ is going to be talking to you about this. Let me know if you find out anything. You know, when he says, do me a favor, that's a manner of speaking as well. People say this all the time. That's why I said, do me a favor, close the door on your way out. It's not do this for me or else. Oh, but the Rand Paul, Jake Tapper nonsense continues on. Excuse me, sir. Ugh. Play 5.
If I'm the Republican sheriff here and my Democrat opponent's son is caught stealing from a liquor store, am I supposed to say, oh, I'm allowed to investigate corruption unless that person is related to someone that might run against me? So you can't make rules that way. It's either corruption or it's not corruption. It happens that in this case, there were allegations of corruption, and they involved Joe Biden and his son. And the American people, when they hear that Hunter Biden made $50,000 a month, they smell corruption. I think it was wrong, and I think he used his office to enrich his son, and I think most Americans agree with us, but you keep saying that the president said, investigate my rival.
He said investigate Joe Biden.
Corruption.
He said investigate Joe. The word corruption does not appear in that transcript, sir. The word corruption does not. He said investigate Joe and Hunter Biden. But I know you want to talk about Afghanistan.
Who worked for a company? No, but who worked for a company called Burisma, which had been investigated for many years for corruption. There are still allegations of corruption against Burisma, and I don't know that we've gotten the full picture.
He didn't say investigate Burisma.
This oligarch and Hunter Biden's involved.
He didn't say investigate Burisma.
Tapper getting all hissy. Rand Paul's correct here. They keep lying about what he said. It's not what he said. So can they just use the words the president used? No, they can't, because they have to come up with this alternative version of events where he's done some terrible thing. He's the mafia don demanding fealty, and all the people that hate Trump so much they get their opportunity to think that they're defending the Constitution by trying to nullify the 2016 election and prevent a free and fair election without process interference, as well as who knows what other interference in 2020. This is what they do. This is at the center of the entire dispute right now. They have misrepresented the facts. The Democrats, the left, they have lied to you. They lied to you about Trump. They lied to you about whether or not there should be any concerns when it comes to the Bidens. They don't seem upset about this at all. I mean, the setup was disgusting. $50,000 a year for that. I mean, a guy who's a train wreck and an imbecile, they're giving him $50,000 a month. I'm sorry, I said a year. A month. Big difference. It's absurd. But Tapper has no problem with that. The problem is the request. Notice how he tried to switch subjects there, too, because he knew he actually doesn't really have a very strong argument. But I want to talk to you about Afghanistan. Oh, we should talk a bit about Afghanistan and how much CNN cares about it. The short version is they don't apparently care at all. There was a Thanos meme circulating for a little while on social media. CNN did a story on that. Producer Mark, can you play that, please? Thanos, the comic book character.
What are we, in junior high school? Like, what the hell? What is this? Like what? What? I cannot believe that I'm even having to report this on the news. This is crazy. This is literally crazy. Are you people insane? Are you insane? Go ahead. Troll the Democrats on Twitter. Do this stupid, silly, you know what? Play this stupid, juvenile meme game. History won't record this meme, stupid crap. But history will record this. The seriousness of what is happening, that today is the day that the House of Representatives in the United States of America introduced articles of impeachment against President Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America, for committing high crimes and misdemeanor.
You know what they didn't talk about on CNN all week, except I think one story on CNN International? Afghanistan. Notably, how we were lied to about Afghanistan for a long time, which I've known and have been telling people, and also how horrifically bad the lies were while we were taking massive casualties under the Obama administration. But they got time to complain about memes.
Worries me the most, actually, is that I think that since about a week ago, when we saw the legal experts testifying in Congress, I think we've been in new territory, which is the sense that reasonable people can disagree about whether he should be impeached.
Right.
I think this was Turley's testimony in the Judiciary Committee, but I found it absolutely terrifying, right? And that and I see that Trump is actually positioning himself to the sort of to the fringes. Right? But you don't have to believe Trump's tweets in order to be a reasonable person who thinks that maybe we shouldn't have rushed with impeachment, maybe we should have heard witnesses, who are stonewalling, who had firsthand knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is absolutely terrifying. I think we're going to be seeing more of that kind of morass.
Terrifying that people, that was a CNN guest, of course, that people could disagree on whether or not Trump should be impeached. And this is now where we are. We know the president is about to get impeached. And here's what's going to happen. Once he's impeached, Democrats are going to claim that that is something other than a strictly one-party vote that has to do much more with their own desperation for the 2020 election and their rage at the success as much as anything else that Trump has had, not just in enduring all the destruction that they have tried to create, all of the efforts that they have had to slow down, to stop, to hobble this presidency at every opportunity. Not only has he pushed through all of that, but as I have to keep reminding people, and I've had to say this even socially to friends, look around you. Look at what's going on in the country. We are not in the midst of some big war. We do not have some enemy that is bearing down on us. We have a particularly low threat right now of jihadist terrorism against the homeland. I'm not saying it's not there. I know we just had the shootings in Florida. I mean, there's always going to be some degree of these different jihadist and other extremist ideologies that result in violence in a society. But there's levels of violence that change the structure, the day-to-day workings of a country, of a place. And then there's levels of violence that you try to mitigate to the greatest degree possible, but you know will always be with you in some way in a very large country with a whole lot of people in it. The economy is absolutely booming. Unemployment is at 50-year lows. Businesses are doing very, very well. The news often has to manufacture frightening stories just to get people's attention. You know, tonight at 8, does this thing you have in your home that we won't name slowly kill you? You know, there's a lot of that going on, more so than usual. And it's because there isn't some terrible story. In fact, the story you're supposed to think is so terrible that you're supposed to care about so very, very much is this absurd hoax impeachment situation that no serious person should be even the least bit upset over in terms of what the president did. They should be upset over the fact that Democrats are wasting so much time and dragging us through this. This is absolutely obscene. They are abandoning all of the different components that they have laid out in the past for what should be in an impeachment, that it should be bipartisan, it should be deeply serious. They're saying the president in the 586 or 68 or 658, there we go, 658-page impeachment report, they're saying that the president committed bribery and wire fraud. I mean, if they tried to bring that into an actual court, they'd be laughed out of the place. One thing you should keep in mind, though, I mean, be always mindful of this, that if, for example, a crime was committed by somebody in the FBI, and I think we're going to see this, if you have someone like Andy McCabe who even faces a trial somewhere for lying under oath, although he would probably take a plea bargain, but let's say he decided to take it to trial. D.C. juries, very left-wing. They're not going to hold any of these people accountable. You get a jury in the District of Columbia, anybody who's anti-Trump, who's from the bureaucratic apparatus, can get away with effectively anything. So that there will be no real accountability. And we're going to get into the Comey interview in a second. That's the thing that, more than anything else, got me fired up over the weekend. I want to talk to you about the Comey interview. But I saw, who was it? Somebody on Twitter referred to it as even more disastrous than the Prince Andrew interview, which I think is, given the subject matter, I mean, the subject matter difference is stark, but in terms of, you know, judging how much of a loss it was from a PR perspective for Andrew versus how much of a loss it should be for Comey. I mean, Comey's interview, you cannot watch it. And if you haven't watched it in its entirety, I mean, look, Chris Wallace, I think, actually did a pretty good job. And I don't agree with a lot of what Chris Wallace says on his show about the president, but I think Chris Wallace did a good job. And like I always say, you know, what's good is good, what's bad is bad, and we call them like we see them here. But when you look back at where this impeachment fiasco is going and the circumstances around it and what we've been told all along, when they add things like bribery and wire fraud, a serious person can't actually think that this is about bribery and wire fraud, right? I mean, I don't know how to separate now opportunistic, cynical leftists who will do anything to stop the president of the United States from those who are true believers who really think that they're defending the Constitution. And by and large, the people on the left who talk about defending the Constitution now in the context of attacking Donald Trump and ending the Trump presidency, they're the same people who often think the Constitution should be irrelevant, shouldn't matter anymore, but it's helpful to them now, right? When the rules are in their favor, they like them. When the rules are against them, they dispense with them. This is central to the way the left operates now. It's central because if you are a totalitarian, I mean, you believe that your ideology, your beliefs, and the government that imposes them should have complete and total control. There should be no real limitations on this whatsoever. Then, of course, right? Of course, everything you do is fine. Of course, whatever you have to do, even dispensing with what you claim are principles, all of that is something that must be paid attention to. But we're back to Lindsey Graham here a little bit on impeachment. It's a lot of Lindsey Graham this hour. Here's what he says about it. I mean, this is pretty straightforward, but I'm glad somebody sees it clearly. Producer Mark, play clip 12, please.
I am trying to give a pretty clear signal. I have made up my mind. I'm not trying to pretend to be a fair juror here. I'm telling you right now, if Mueller had found something against Trump, I'd have been his loudest critic, and I told the president to his face. So what I see happening today is just a partisan nonsense.
You have voiced strong opinions about this impeachment case, but you are, along with the rest of your Senate fellows, jurors. Is it appropriate to be voicing your opinion even before this gets to the Senate as a trial?
Well, I must think so, because I'm doing it.
Good call, Lindsey. He's like, I think I can because I just did. But now we have, I love that, a question from a journalist, but you're voicing your opinion. You've had Democrats all along in the House, for stretching back for months. I think Maxine Waters called for impeachment like a year ago, publicly, yelling about impeachment. I mean, there have been others, too, calling for impeachment, saying that the president has to be impeached. It's impeachable conduct. You know what the president's real impeachable conduct is? Being stronger than they are and better than they are at this game. They can't handle it. It's not supposed to be this way. We're supposed to take the Romney, Paul Ryan, Kasich approach to the opposition, where, we put out some ideas that a think tank that is funded by the donor class tells us will be really great, but, we don't want to push too hard, and, okay, we lost, and some of the foundational elements of rule of law and separation of powers might be under assault by the other side, but, we don't want to be mean, so I guess they just get their way. I guess they just win, but, at least we're being good sports about it. That was the Republican MO until Trump came along. For 8 years of Obama, the Republican MO overall, I know there was the Tea Party surge, but the Republican MO, certainly at the presidential election level, was, whether it was John McCain or Mitt Romney, it was lose gracefully, lose politely, get your butt kicked out on the tennis court or on the, basketball court or wherever, and then afterwards say, wow, you're just so good. Thanks for just kicking my butt, Democrats. That's what we were supposed to do. And by the way, that's where we would have been, I think, again, had we not actually had Trump defeat Hillary in 2016. Some people much prefer their politics to be determined by how much the other side can tolerate them. Are you a hated Republican? Are you a hated conservative? Because understand this, we are heading into territory right now where if you are not willing to abide the scorn of the other side, publicly or perhaps even just in your own day-to-day life, talking about these issues. If you are not willing to abide the scorn of the left, probably not fighting hard enough, because they really do make this about hating the other side. They really do make this about control of all things. You're not allowed to have a reasoned discussion. I mean, we just had, that CNN guest before saying that it's terrifying that reasonable people would disagree about impeachment. Come on. It's terrifying? It's not terrifying at all. The president hasn't done anything. And this doesn't affect any normal person who pays attention to what's going on here. First of all, most normal people say, who the heck cares? And I get all your stuff about how you don't want me to talk too much about impeachment. It's the biggest story in the country. I mean, there's nothing. They're trying to end a presidency, folks. I mean, they know that they're not going to get through the Senate, but maybe they think that there's a wild card chance that, you don't know. You don't know until you try. So this is, they're throwing a 40-yarder here into the end zone in quadruple coverage. Crazy things happen because the step they're taking is the affirmation of the left's desire to remove the president of the United States from office. That is, in fact, what they are trying to do. And we're told, oh, this is the only way. This is the right way. This must happen in this way. I mean, here, we got Lindsey Graham also telling us, where is this going in the Senate? He claims it will be DOA. 13, please.
This thing will come to the Senate, and it will die quickly, and I will do everything I can to make it die quickly. So I think impeachment is going to end quickly in the Senate. I would prefer it to end as quickly as possible. Use the record that was assembled in the House to pass impeachment articles as your trial record. I don't want to call anybody. I don't need to hear from Hunter Biden. I don't need to hear from Joe Biden. We can deal with that outside of impeachment. I don't want to talk to Pompeo. I don't want to talk to Pence. I want to hear the House make their case based on the record they established in the House, and I want to vote.
He's saying, let's just get this thing done with and, shut it down. I don't know if that's really the move. I don't know if that's the way that we should go on this. I have my other feelings here as well, where maybe we should really drag the Democrats, drag this out, pull some witnesses out there that'll look like buffoons and that'll make their cause and make their claims seem absurd. I don't know if just get it over with should be the approach. I think maybe Democrats should get what they want and get it long and hard on this one. I think they should actually be forced to suffer through what they hath wrought.
Where our role as the media is important to point out where we are, take a pause, this moment in history. This president is about to become the first president in the history of this nation who will be impeached for violating one of the founders' most primal fears, which is inviting foreign involvement into our elections. We all saw it. We saw it on the South Lawn. We saw it in the call summary. So the only question now really is how the public is going to respond. The outcome is preordained in the Senate. He will be acquitted. They may have a trial, short trial, long trial. He'll be acquitted. And then the question is, a year from now, how are voters going to respond to that? There's only one certainty, and that is we're going to have more information coming out.
Gee, thanks for that. There's only one thing about the future is that time will have passed between now and then. Good job. Really well done there. That's NBC report. I don't know which one. Yes, one of the most primal fears, the president making a joke about Russia, if you could hear me, on the South Lawn. This is all based in hysteria, and the hysteria is as follows, that there could be any real way that Russia could change the way the American people vote in an election. I mean, realistically. They have that much control over us? Who really believes this? And the whole thing is completely and utterly absurd. How could you even control this as well? Is it foreign interference if, the Russian government puts out a statement that they don't like one president, they like another? I mean, how many times are we told all these foreign governments, the world, the international community loves Obama so much? Is that foreign interference? This is just childishness from the left. They can't handle they lost an election. They didn't just lose an election. They lost an election to somebody that they absolutely hate. And they put up somebody who is as really unethical, despicable, and completely lacking in charm as, hello, Hillary Clinton really is. They think of her as exactly who should be in the ruling class in this country. An amoral, opportunistic, grifting, no-principled, elitist, left of center, money-grabbing, money-grubbing, give the left what they want demagogue. That's it. That's all they really want. That's what they really need. That's who should be running the country. Not a guy who comes in who's, is a little rough. Trump's a little rough around the edges. He's a guy. He's a little rough, right? But he's smashing the system in ways that it needs to be smashed. I mean, and this was what a lot of people who early on saw in Trump, and they've been right all along, that he will just drive the system absolutely mad because they don't really know how to control him, and he refuses to be controlled. And as a result, we see who these people really are, who think that they're supposed to be able to have things the way they want them to be. The media and the Democratic Party and the establishment of any power structure really in the country at this point. Trump rattles people. Are you really supposed to be in this position of power in the media, in the academy, in the political circles that run things in D.C.? Or are you just somebody who got kind of lucky and played the system? No one likes those questions to be asked, and that's a big part of what is happening in the era of Trump. The elites have been put on notice. They are elitist, but they are not in fact elite. There's a difference. There is not some meritocracy underpinning why people like Hunter Biden get $50,000 a month, and look, it's true true in both parties, folks, Republican and Democrat. But at least we see it now in a way we have never before. So yet another reason. That's the real article of impeachment they should put forward, is that because of Trump, the American public that have their eyes open can actually see who we, the elite, really are.